This is to educate the community about mental illness and the different forms of mental illness, and also to tell your story. So the first question is, you don't have to mention your last name.
Yeah.
What is your name?
Tiffany.
Okay. And what is your passion?
My passion is to be a chef, and also I want to open a nonprofit cooking class for people who have mental illness and people who have, homeless or came from prison and low income people. Yeah, That's my passion.
You don't have to tell me your diagnosis if you don't want to, but what is your diagnosis and how old were you when you were diagnosed?
At the time, I was going through speech therapy, and according to I have my doctor's records from back in '93, so I was like 5 years old, and they told me that it's a form of autism or and learning disabilities. Yeah.
So it wasn't officially a mental illness? They said it was autism?
Yeah. So because I was learning things slow, like late. I was a late bloomer, put like that. I didn't read until I was 7 instead of 5 or 6.
Okay. And what age are you now?
I'm 31.
So you were diagnosed in 1993?
Yes.
My sister was born that year. All right. Have you, you don't have to mention this if you don't feel comfortable. Have you ever been hospitalized in a psychiatric ward?
No.
Okay. That's good. Lucky. You don't have to answer this if you don't feel comfortable. Are you living in poverty rate, which is considered making less than $24,000 a year?
Unfortunately, yes.
You don't have to answer this if you don't feel comfortable. Are you on food stamps, SSI, disability, Medicaid, etc.?
Food stamps, yes.
You have worked at a job. You have a job.
Yes, I do.
It's a very good job.
Yes, it is.
You make $13 an hour, and you're a hard worker.
Yes, sir.
You work 40 hours a week.
Yes.
So I think that's really important to mention, because a lot of people assume that people with disabilities are lazy, and that's not true. No. If you could do anything without money being an issue, what would you do?
I probably will make a difference. I'll probably do some creative art or creative videos that I could, can use and teach people how to live things without money. I probably take from trash to treasure. I can make it to object. Yeah.
I'm about that.
Yes.
I love that. That's literally what I do.
And I did before, and I kind of like sold a couple pieces, but it wasn't art, but it was like more like like I have a rock and I kind of shaved it and make it look pretty, and I kind of painted it and stuff like that, and I made $30 for that. So,
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, what is your dream career?
My dream career is also I still want to be a chef, but I probably want to be more like a CEO or founder of my own company one day.
Okay, those are good goals to have.
And travel through a world that, especially like in this I won't say communist country, but more like towards the poor countries that was told that, oh, you can't be a chef because it's a poor industry. That's not true.
Third world countries.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about, if you want to get personal, you don't have to say anything if you don't want. Okay. But how long have you been living on the street?
4 months.
4 months.
Yes.
And you have a family, and did they kick you out?
I won't say they did, but I kind of was saying that, oh, you can't live here because, at the time it wasn't a money issue. It was more like a personal issue with my my stepfather.
Oh yes. You don't have to talk about that because I know about that. So yeah, so you were pretty much You had no choice but to be homeless.
Right.
Excuse me. Anyways, so let's talk about, you can talk about how we met.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, go ahead. You tell the story.
Yes. How we me and Michelle met was we was at the church called they call it Aim Frame, but it's called the First United Church in Fort Lauderdale. And I knew the pastor. His name is Patrick Rogers, and he runs called the Roof Ministry. That they also feed the homeless as on Thursday. So it's a Thursday congregation. So I was one of the congregations that we went to Bible study. I mean, no, we did a little like 30-minute service, and then after service we go to the kitchen area, or we call it the cafeteria area in church, and they serve food. We get clothes and stuff. So a week, I would say, like, they gave us a week notice that there's going to be an event outside. It's going to be in different vendors, and that's we talk about from 8. I mean, what is it? I know it's HIV. I think it's called AHF. It's a foundation of the AIDS Foundation, and it got people like her, and the art industry came, the medical field came, and they got massage therapists, mobile showers, haircuts, and everything, etc. So it was a lot of it was a busy day. It was very hot, and the first the first one I picked was her. I sat down one day and she looked at me and she said, "How you did art?" I said, "Years ago." I said, She said, "What you painting?" I said, "I don't know, because it's been a long time." So she kind of encouraged me. She was asking me how long I've been homeless, and are you working? It's just basic questions. And we was talking for a little bit, and as I was doing my art, and she took a picture of me holding my art, and she sent it to my personal my phone number and my message, and she said that she gave me her business cards, and she said, "Well, you keep in contact. If you ever need me or anything, just call me," and stuff like that. And I would say, like, ever since then, I follow her on Instagram and Facebook, and we kind of stay in touch, and ever since then we here. So I would say almost 2 months ago we met. So yeah, not
No more than 2 months.
Is
It
it?
was like 4 months.
Yeah, 4 months. Yeah,
Yeah, it was like before Corona.
yeah. So I would say, yeah, like February, kind of January. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was at that event because my one of my board members, Matthew Ratcher, he's a singer and he has a mental illness, and he's a very good singer and guitar player, and he does events like that. And he invited me because his best friend, is the lady who created Showering with Love, and I wanted to meet her because it was such a good idea. To have a mobile shower unit to have people take showers, when they don't have access. I didn't plan anything. Like, I was just there to enjoy myself. I wasn't planning on I wasn't planning on working. It wasn't work, it's not work to me, but I wasn't planning on helping Stacy, because she's the one that made that art event, and I was trying to help her, like, organize, because she didn't really develop her idea. And since I already had Kind Studio, I was like, this is how I do it. Like, this is how you do it. And that's how I met you, and I met all the other people, which I have their names. I memorize people. Yeah, like, I'm so happy that I met you, and that our friendship is growing.
Yes.
So I usually go to events all the time, anything to do with helping other people. And then I usually end up helping other people. One thing I noticed is that I'm not bashing Stacy. Basically, when people want to help other people, they don't realize the extent that you have to go through, because you can't just be like, yes, you're going to make art and then I'm going to sell it. Like, it's actually a very long process. So what people really need is compassion, and they need to be heard.
Yeah.
And they also need somebody in case of an emergency to contact. And that's why I gave you my card. Because as Kind Studio, the representative of Kind Studio and the creator of Kind Studio, I have the ability to help people. I have so much resources in Miami, not in Fort Lauderdale, because this was in Fort Lauderdale. And I know nothing that goes on in there when it comes to the homeless or disabled community or mentally ill community. But when you're making a nonprofit dealing with anyone who has a criminal background, living on the street, mental illness, disability, you have to think of an overall program of care. Because if you just think that you're going to do, like for me, people just think that we just do art. No, I don't know why I say we, because it's just me, but basically through Kind Studio, if somebody is homeless, we help them with another community resource. We stabilize them. We teach them how to be independent, how to write a resume, how to take care of themselves, because a lot of people don't have those skills. Some people don't even take showers. And that is something that I have put into consideration. And then after they're stabilized, we move on to getting them skills that they need to have a successful career. Because I'm not concerned with getting people jobs, because jobs are just bullshit. They're minimum wage. You're going to be living paycheck to paycheck. So Kind Study is about getting a career, And I see that a lot with other organizations that I'm a part of. They have such specific goals, like, okay, so we're just going to get people a job, because money is important. And then that doesn't help them in the long run. It makes them addicted to the system. I'm not going to mention who, but, that's not helping them to be adults. Because let's say your organization disappears, like, it fails and it's gone. Where are those people going to go? They were solely dependent on you as a nonprofit to survive. And that is a very flawed system. Anyways, so that's a big concern when people are starting nonprofits. And I'm telling you, because you have to think about this too, because you're going to start one.
Right.
You have to think about everything.
And I wanted to comment on that one because back in 2006, I went to this school called the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale, but I was in the culinary department, which is across the street from the main campus. I have high hope because it was an expensive school, and as I was going there for 2 years, I knew what I want as a career, but at the same time, as I was going to school, I have a job. It's called Five Guys. It's like maybe a couple blocks away. It's in the plaza. And the thing is that at the time, because I was 18 and I ain't had no bills. I was staying with my family at the time, so it wasn't really an issue when I was 19. But before I graduated, I always want to work on a bigger career. Like I want to help out, and I want to go to, which is I had different, I thought I have a career, but I didn't because the pay wasn't good, and nowadays, I mean, well, I would say 14 years ago, you could work full time, no problem. You get all the benefits and everything, and they didn't promise me that, and I was sticking to paycheck to paycheck minimum wage job, maybe 2 jobs. And I was kind of discouraged what the school done for me, because it's kind of like they failed me. And I'm not the only one, but a few people didn't get jobs. A lot of people didn't get jobs, and that, I mean, like if you're an artist from the Art Institute, the artist shouldn't be working at Blake or Michaels and everything. Ain't no wrong with that. It's a start, but not as a career. That's forever.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because I also graduated from the Art Institute of Miami. And Fort Lauderdale, our AI, has been, they were sued and they lost the case. And then they had to close down. And then my school also was being sued by the government because they were stealing funds from the federal education FAFSA. And they are absolutely worthless. I don't recommend anyone that wants a career in art to go to any private institution, because it's a waste of time, and you're going to have a lot of debt. And you can accomplish what schools do within less time and in a more efficient manner. But the private institutions in America, because my memory is kind of like, there's no private schools in other countries. For-profit education really doesn't exist, and here in America, it's prominent. So if somebody doesn't educate themselves, or just is desperate to get a degree, these private organizations, they prey on people who have disabilities, on people who have educational disabilities, and unfortunately, they get away with it because, like I mentioned, people who have disabilities, people who have mental illnesses, they can't articulate what's going on, and they don't notice what's going on. But while I was going to the Art Institute, the people in my class, they had autism, they had mental illnesses. And I found it really weird. Why were all these people with disabilities, mental illnesses, so high in this private school? So I did some investigating, and I found really good information. But anyways, we're not here to talk about that.
But I'm not going. I'm not going to comment about that part, because we done with this. But at the same time, I kind of learned my lesson in my part, that if I were new in my memory, in my in my sense, in my parents' sense, that what the schools are doing to quote unquote students, what they're doing, like, to us, is like we shouldn't be working odd jobs to survive. We should be working a career. This is forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not bashing on private or public schools.
I bash private schools.
I mean, I gotta be careful what I said, but because I talk differently. The reason why I say that, because they are paid to say certain things. Oh, if you go in commercial, if you go to Florida Career College, it's always like, oh, this is a good career, and you don't like your job, this is it. It's not promised. And I recommend people that if you can't afford education, the nonprofit schools, hopefully, with mine's established, you want to be a chef like me, or you want to be an artist like her, this is the best opportunity. You don't have to, pay, but we pay for your, to get you going for your education. I mean, not for your education, like if you want to be certified in the food industry, I pay that, until it need to be renewed and everything. I mean, that's my passion. I think that's her passion too. And I think the more important is that it's good to have more nonprofit schools, not only for low income and for certain people, maybe for everybody that who can't afford education. Because I met a woman, not a woman, I met my former co-worker's family member, no, his son, and he wants to go to college, but it was so expensive. But since my former coworker and his wife was making too much money. They had to come out of their pocket. And I said, that's not good, because it's like, why do you have to come out of pocket to educate? I mean, or to make your children or your child to be successful. Why he can't go to, get go to trade school, or get certified or learn on his own, because you save a lot of money from your debt, not his debt, because he's not in debt. Both you and your wife is going to be in debt, and that's not fair. What happened? He don't like the school. That's wasting money.
Yeah. So there, I don't know if this is common in other countries, but there are different types of loans. There's a loan where your parents basically will pay for everything. It's called like a parental loan. I forget the specifics of it. And then there's a loan that's a personal loan that you, the student, has to pay back. And then there's FAFSA money, which is government money that you don't have to pay back. But not necessarily. You do have to pay back some of it. So depending on your income, your family's income, if you're dependent, they say that you can't get a loan. You can't get this, you can't get that. And then you have to pay out of pocket. And that's usually thousands and thousands of dollars that people don't have. And usually people take the loans because they want their kids to be educated. And that's why we're in debt at this time. And I'm talking about college kids. They're in debt because that's the only accessible thing that they can do. So getting an education is actually a privilege that nobody wants to talk about, but nowadays it's not really important to get a degree because it's all about your skill level.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to art and cooking.
Yeah.
If you have the skills, the company will hire you. If they don't hire you, then that's just dumb on their part.
Yeah. And also I agree with her, and I think that I recommend that if you want to be someone, you want to be something, do a lot of reading, do a lot of research, make sure that you stick and you do your homework every day, Monday to Friday if you want to, but I would say every day, because reading, you learn a lot, because I was halfway learning. And they be telling me stuff, and they said, "You don't know that?" I said, "No, I know that." I said, "Yeah, you need to study, you need to research it." So she's one of them, and I really like her, because a lot of people don't take it seriously. They say, "Oh, she's too, they too mean, or they too serious." I said, "Yeah, it is serious, because we was watching some videos together yesterday, and they was talking about that charities donations, and what the money really went to, instead of the important." And I asked her, because I'm from North New Jersey, which is is kind of like a city. It is a crime affected city at the time. I ain't been in New Jersey for a while, ever since I've been here for 16 years, but I'm not going to mention the name, but he was a billionaire, and he donated millions of dollars to a private charity or any school, and it didn't went to the supplies. It went to the contract, or and something else, private contract or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, so how they going to get their books? So now the question is that the parents are paying for the children to be educated, textbooks, and and to be tested. It's not included. You got to pay for the test too, and you have to pass the test. Mm-hmm. So I grew up in public school, so everything was free until I got to college, and I'm like, I realized that I was looking at my loans. I was looking at the classes, how much the classes is. I'm looking at it. I said, if I knew better, and my parents knew better, and they would sit down and tell me that, I would have went to another school, or self-educate myself. Mm-hmm. Because I look at the how much it was exactly, because they gave me a exact how much it was. It was a whole lot of money. I'm like, I could learn that by myself. Yeah. But I didn't know better, and I think Like you said, that we in debt, and hopefully, once we out debt, I will never. If I had children, I would never encourage my children to go to a private school.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
And get yourself in debt, because I'm not borrowing no more money.
Yeah. So the whole thing that you have to go to college here in America to get more money is actually false. Because after I got my degree, nobody wanted to hire me.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I couldn't get a job that was more than $9 an hour. And then I got fed up with it, and I was like, I'm just gonna make my own career because I'm just wasting my time. And it's really quite messed up that these employers, they kind of hold it over your head. Like, you don't have experience, so I'm not going to pay you $25 an hour. I'm either going to pay you zero money, or I'm going to pay you minimum wage until I feel like I should pay you what you deserve. And I was tired of that attitude.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? This is 18 plus. Go fuck yourself, because that's slavery right there. That is fucking rude as hell. And this was every employer that I tried to get a career in graphic design, computer animation, art. They same exact attitude. They don't value artists. They don't value creators. Which, if you think about it, without any artists, without any graphic design, without any visual stuff, you won't have anything. Okay. So I was tired of that attitude. We're the employer. We decide how much to pay you. And it's like, no, I know my worth. And that's a thing that I'm trying to teach her. If you know your worth, don't even waste your time with these people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you're going to be like begging for scraps. Like, please pay me a living wage, please. And it's a waste of time.
And then it's like, the sad thing is that, like I mentioned before, now it's part-time. So if I had my dream job working at the Whole Food market, how am I going to grow if it's only part-time? And nowadays they don't want to pay the package, which is the benefits of it, because if you do get full-time, nowadays you can't work over 40 hours. You gotta work strictly 40 hours. So if I was forced to, like, say, if I was over my hours, it means that they make you leave early. Or if you work over hours, you're not gonna get paid overtime. No more overtime. So 40 hours is a max, and that's it. You can't work 41 hours, 42 hours, because guess what? You're not gonna get paid. And I was thinking funny, because how I'm gonna pay my bills, because 40 hours is minimum. Before, you could get overtime. Nowadays you can't get overtime. So how I'm gonna pay not only the rent or the mortgage and everything, how I'm gonna pay the food, the transportation, everything is not included. So everything's cost money. And like she said, even the places that she worked at, it's gotta be $9 the most.
Yeah, so that's a system that we're both learning. Well, I've already been aware of this problem, but you're learning a lot, right?
I learned a whole lot.
Yeah, so it's something that is a big issue, and right now the current events that are happening are Betsy DeVos, the Secretary of Education, who I wish to replace. She's taking funds from the pandemic relief, and she's putting them into private schools, and she's making it a law. So this is just ridiculous. It's really just ridiculous. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what goes on in their minds where they think that they can continue this behavior.
Yeah.
Like they're playing God.
Yeah.
They're trying. So anyways, so the going to school in America is kind of like, it's really not worth it.
Not at all. Unless
you're rich, because then you get all the good stuff. But what else can we talk about?
Yes. Can we talk about what's the history of art? Because I think that most people, I mean, I won't say most people, but some people who not smart as an art, because I know art is kind of like, some people would say it's good for expression. So why art does exist?
Well, so it's just basic expression. You know, the people in the caves, in order to just leave a mark in history, they created cave paintings, and then it's just human nature to want to create something. You know, art has many meanings. You know, it's dependent on the person who makes it. It's dependent on the person who observes it. But throughout history, art has been created for human expression. And when you go into art therapy, if you're ever interested, I'm actually going to buy a book on art therapy, because that's another thing that I want to learn. It's actually really simple. If you know psychology, you just apply it to art. But, you know, uh, if you look at Van Gogh, you know Van Gogh, The Starry Night?
Yeah. Nadu, yes.
Okay, so Van Gogh had a mental illness. He was severely depressed. He was struggling. He was a struggling artist. Nobody knew who he was when he was an artist. Okay, he was literally starving, and he was making beautiful pieces. And then after he died, that's when everyone was like, Van Gogh, my God, he's such a genius, blah, blah. And it kind of defeats the purpose. Like, this poor person was suffering, you know, and nobody cared.
Yeah.
You know, so that's Heidi, you're so cute. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by my dog. She's so sweet. You're so sweet. So yeah, art, you know, everything in life has a purpose. Art, a form of expression, a form of political movement. It could be used as meditation. You know, that's why I love art. It's so, and not only art, but anything creative, you know, is very good for everything, you know. So
I like that. Yeah.
when you want to talk about art history, you would learn about the different eras in art, like the Renaissance, and I don't remember them all from the top of my head, but that's different. So we had people who were drawing traditional Catholic paintings, and then it moved on to that and became something more less restricted by religion, and then it just keeps going. You know, it evolved. So
And I want to add this question because I know it's going to be repeatable, but what make you do art in the first place, and why you love it to this day?
me personally,
Yes.
So when I was little, my parents were too busy to interact with me. I'm not saying that, you know, I don't hate them. I don't bear any grudge, but they were so busy trying to keep us under a roof that I really had I had no friends. I had no one to talk to. So I just had television, and on the TV, they had art programs on PBS. They had Bob Ross.
Oh yeah.
They had these other programs where like they would choose a theme, and then you would draw. And I loved it. Like
I
it,
miss those shows.
yeah. And then when I went to elementary school, because this was before I went to school, I was in my favorite class was art class, and I had a teacher named Miss Perry, and she was wonderful. She encouraged me. You know, she was like, "Your art is amazing. Like, you're really talented," and you know, that was a form of therapy for me, because when I was young, I was being molested, and I had no one to talk to.
Yeah.
So art was the only thing that I could express who I was and not be punished for it. So from elementary school to middle school, I continued taking all the art classes, AP art, blah blah blah, all the art classes that I could, because that was the only thing that I had. Because in the '90s, early '90s, therapy wasn't a norm. You know, especially in Miami, because it's Hispanic. Hispanics don't really accept therapy as something normal. They think that like you can just be like, oh, she'll be okay. You know, she's just weird. And because I was from a Latin family, my parents didn't think about putting me to therapy. You know, it wasn't common. So all I had was art. And then in high school is when things started to change because it was in the 2000s, you know, and therapy started being more important. I continued going. I took AP classes, portfolio classes. I took all the art classes that I could. And then in college, college is when I got diagnosed with my disability and my mental illness. Can I help you? What do you want? Huh? You stink. I'm going to brush your teeth because your mouth smells terrible. It smells like death. And I'm sure she ate like a dead animal. Like I really... But yeah, so that's what got me into art. And some of my paintings, at least one of them, was a cry for help. And only one art teacher was like, are you like, okay? Like, do you need help? And at the time I was really offended by that. I was like, no, I don't need help. And I didn't accept the help. So
Right.
This was in middle school. And then I just continued art. It took 2 years off of about 1 year off after I graduated.
Wow. 1 year.
Yeah, because I wasn't going to go straight to college because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I wanted to experience life. And then I decided that game design was going to be, yeah.
Animation.
And I went to a public school, and then I failed living on my own because of my mental illness, and also because my mom didn't teach me how to be independent. So I had to learn everything while managing a shitty job, going to school full time, dealing with a relationship and my mental illness. So it didn't work out. And then after 2 years, I came back. And then I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And my dad was like, you're getting old.
Oh, man.
He literally said that to me. He was like, you're getting old. You need a degree. And I was like, the only thing that I found that was interesting to me was 3D animation. And then I suffered for 4 years getting that degree. And here we are. Yeah. So art has always been a very important piece. And that's why I say that art is important, like in our schools, to teach art to kids and have access to art, music. Because if somebody's being abused, they need an outlet.
Yeah, they do.
You know.
Yeah.
But what do I know?
When I was in culinary school, and I remember, and I laugh at this because, like, again, I was younger than I am right now, like 18, going on 19. We're gonna do art of cooking. I'm like, art of cooking? We're not doing art. So I kind of laugh at that at first because I understand what you're saying. So what we did is that, I don't know if you watch any Food Network shows called Chop or whatever, or Iron Chef, whatever. And when you are, after you cook, you have to create a plate. So if you plate your food, that's include like sauce. Like if I will make it like a half moon, you they teach us how to do the art of cooking, art of playing, because when you work in the, I mean, if you work in a high, what do you call it, 5-star restaurant, star 5-star plus restaurant, they want you to do a plating, so you could put circles, dots, and then put your fruit on the plate. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So I did it. I scored like a high A plus on my what do you call it, my play, my my presentation. And they asked me, are you an artist? I said, I'm not an artist, but I could do some art, because at the time I was very passionate about it. So he said that I want you to make a dessert plate, but I want you to be creative. So I make a dessert plate, and I use one of the Dollar Tree worth. It's like a foam ball, but I put it on plastic saran wrap. And what I did is I dipped the ball with the chocolate, put in the freezer a little bit, and make it hard. Then when I took it out, and you could really bust the foam part and the plastic part. I took it out, so it was like a chocolate mousse over the chocolate ball. So I put the mousse inside the ball. I played it with the chocolate and the different designs. He looked at it, he takes it, he said, "That's the best artist you have. I mean, you're an artist." I said, "Okay." I mean, I never think it was I'm an artist because I'm a cook. Mm-hmm. So when I took the class called Art of Cooking, I'm like, this is not what I signed for, but I like it ever since then. So now, since I'm back in art, I kind of better of my drawing. And she was telling me, do some reference, do some negative and positive spaces. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, so now I got my little skills back. I'm not there yet, but I'm almost there.
Yeah, but you're improving. Like, remember, like from the first things that you showed me, and then the second part after instruction.
Yeah, she liked it. Yeah, she loved it.
So anything creative, anything in art, anything you learn in visual arts, you can apply it to your cooking.
Yeah.
You know, because it's about composition. You know, you have a plate, and then you make a composition. You know, do you put it in the center? Do you put it on the side? So it will help you in the long run
to be a better teacher. Yeah, and I'm gonna fall to that because right now I'm kind of in the beginning of working on it, but it probably won't be there probably like another year or two. So I am learning about life change of me because I'm like, okay, I'm tired of working jobs. I had to call them big. Is my job back on? And if it's open, I kind of had to move on.
Yeah, exactly.
And figure things out because I'm still gonna be a cook, but I had to have plan. I'm planning right now to make a better career, so I won't have to suffer. Or with this pandemic coming through, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely like I'll be like these other chefs for Food Network. They do things at home. They teach people at home how to cut properly, cook properly.
Yeah. Have you thought of entering like one of the chef shows for Food Network?
Yes. That'd be my plan, and
we should look into that.
I am, and like I said, I'm all for it because I need to win some prizes. I'm not kidding, but if I do, that'd be great because if I ever win a competition. And I would tell the chef that if they ask me that, what are you gonna do with the money? I said, I'm gonna go towards my business because I can have a full control of what I need to do and what I want to do with my business. So yeah. So I'm thinking about that and it's coming soon. I'm kinda looking at it right now because they said everything's closed down because of the pandemic. But after that, obviously I'll definitely will sign up ahead.
I think that's a good idea.
And I want to prove myself to be a better cook and everything because I didn't know what passion was. Even when I was in school, I didn't know how to be passionate by it because the only person who taught me was my chefs. And my previous job, I would say, in Green Bar back in 2018, and his name, he's a chef too, a personal chef. We still talk on Instagram. His name is Charlie Gripple, and he was the owner of Green Bar, which is a plant-based restaurant. Mm-hmm. He said, how long you been cooking? I said, I've been cooking for this time. He said that why you relapsed because I said I didn't know how to be passionate about it. I mean, I'm not saying that I wasn't never passionate about it. It was that I couldn't find a high-end job. Mm-hmm. And he was telling me that the reason why like they won't choose you not because you're not passionate about it, they don't see a value in you. And he said, I saw the value in you. And he always choose me to go to a lot of events. Mm-hmm. He always choose me to go to his other restaurant that mm-hmm. he's owned because he have value in me. He have hope in me, and I have improved a lot. And I said I'm gonna stick to what I really know, and now I can learn through myself and through on.
Yeah, the thing is, if you don't have any passion and love for what you're doing, then what's the point of doing it?
Right.
Yeah. And also another thing that I think you're trying to find the word, you have to be relentless.
Yeah.
Like you never have to give up if you're passionate. But the thing that I'm trying to teach you, and I say it all the time, you have to see the worth in yourself, because other people will place some worth on you, and that's not really their place to determine what your worth is. Because if you give other people the option or the opinion, to be like for the things I was mentioning earlier, like these industries where I was trying to get a career, they didn't see my worth. They said, you're only worth like $10 an hour. And, if you see your worth, you won't even waste your time with those people.
Of course.
You'd be like, thank you for wasting my time. Have a nice day. And you move on.
Yeah.
So once you see your worth, your self-worth, people can't take advantage of you. And that's the most important thing to learn. I mean, all the things that I tell you are important, but
Yeah.
just remember that one.
I will.
So I think that's it for today.
Thank you.
I have to brush Heidi's mouth because it just smells so bad. I don't know what she was eating, but it's gross. And yeah, that was interesting. It was great.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, I hope people liked it.